This morning we gather to celebrate more than 5 years of business. We're gathering to celebrate 5 years of vision, of resilience, and of impact. This celebration is especially significant because it's taking place in one of the most entrepreneurial countries in the world.
Five years ago, I started Greenthos Capital with a simple conviction. At the time, much of the conversation that was happening around private capital, it was around creation of capital. How do you build capital? How do you accumulate capital? How do you build businesses? How do you expand success? How do you achieve success? These conversations are very important, but I felt there was a deficiency. The conversation felt incomplete to me. Beneath every story of wealth creation sits another question. What happens next after success? So that is what Greenthos Capital does. So I deliberately chose not to write a technical book. It's a book that is fiction. It's a narrative because governance conversations they are people-centered. They are human stories. Governance, succession, these involve relationships, expectations, conflict, responsibility, and legacy. My hope is that readers will recognize themselves in the characters, their families in the conversations, and their own unanswered questions in the choices that are being made in the book.
I've had an opportunity to read the book being launched today, ahead of publication. I encourage all of you to leave this place with a copy shortly once that book is unveiled, because it has real case studies. I don't believe that many of us Ugandans learn by case studies from Harvard Business School. It's going to be the case studies next door. It's going to be the real things we are living around us. And if we don't relate with this, we will struggle. And we are seeing them all the time.
So today is not simply about celebrating what we've achieved over the last 5 years. It's about intentionally shaping what is going to come next. And perhaps that's why the theme Beyond Accumulation makes sense and is so powerful today. Because accumulation is where conversations about wealth begin. But stewardship, and I think Gloria talked about that, is where conversations about legacy begin. Uganda today is in the middle of something significant. So across entrepreneurship, family enterprises, agriculture, real estate, manufacturing, name it, private wealth is being created at a pace and scale that our generations have not witnessed before. And that's not something small, but it represents decades of hard work, resilience, discipline, sacrifice, innovation, which is finally compounding into something tangible. So from a regulatory perspective, one of the most important contributions we can make to market development is reducing this fragility. Strong institutions reduce uncertainty. Strong institutions attract investment. Strong institutions inspire confidence. Strong institutions survive shocks, and strong institutions outlive individuals.
You could very well find that the family you're creating take over you need not be your children. It would be a family of young people that you've raised and mentored, that like what you're doing, okay? And you worked maybe, because these children are different people. They have different likes. They want to do other things and so on and so forth.
They say the first generation builds it, the second generation feels entitled to it, and the third generation loses it. Something like that, isn't it? Yeah, and I see that in Uganda. I see, as I say, some of the people I know who are properly rich, not like me. I'm just like a small, medium business person. But I know people who have a lot of assets and a lot of money. And the issue they have is that their children are not, they're not the risk takers, they're not the entrepreneurs, they don't have the passion that the fathers have. And they struggle then to say, well, what will be my legacy? And as David said, you don't push people into things. But at the same time, when people grow up with a silver spoon in their mouth, they can, they just don't have that drive and so on.
How do we shape the future? We must shape the future by understanding what our children are doing and what they are doing. But because of the nature of living in an urbanized environment, maybe it is very difficult for us to spend a lot more time with them. But that is the struggle we have. Again, Josephine, governance is a strategic asset. It is not a box to be ticked. It is a business asset. I think that's very important for us to take away